Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to join some of my colleagues on this side as apologizing to you, Mr. Secretary, for what could have been an important hearing, but the way my colleagues on the other side, it is really not an important hearing. But maybe it is because it's revealing to the American people who really wants to keep them in their homes, who really wants to make sure that families stay together, who really wants to keep communities together, and who, no matter what, or how unscrupulous they may be for the opportunity to gain an extra dollar, don't care about the middle class, don't care about the hardworking person, don't care about someone who's trying to have and live the American dream. So maybe it is an important hearing because the distinction between the two is becoming clear. I know sometimes in these hearings should be about real policy issues and not about politics, but apparently what I'm hearing, and you are the subject to it, you're just hearing the differences where one side cares about people and the other side just cares about money. But in your policy, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, you're still making sure that you're maintaining the integrity of the dollar for the American taxpayer. You're not losing or throwing away money. But you're putting a process in because what do we know? We know that during the financial crises in a district like mine, that I'm very thankful that you had the opportunity to visit not too long ago, where you had neighborhoods like St. Albans, Queens, and South Jamaica, et cetera, who were directly impacted because of the foreclosure crises. And I read the National Fair Housing Alliance. Many of these communities, these folks who some went into them, who just wanted a dollar, these communities were targeted for what they knew to be unsustainable subprime loans and subsequently experienced high levels of foreclosure so that they could make a profit, but they knew that these homes would go into foreclosure. As a result, the remaining homeowners in these communities have suffered tremendous loss of wealth. By one estimate, homeowners, particularly in communities of color, lost $1.1 trillion in wealth. So not just, we're talking about a whole host of people who've lost wealth at the expense of a few people who take away their citizenship or denounce their citizenship to the United States after making trillions of dollars. Half of all the wealth lost was as a result of foreclosure crises. The impact of this loss will be long-lasting, affecting not only the current generation of homeowners of color, but also future generations. It is critical that we do all we can to prevent avoidable foreclosures and minimize the downward drag they exert on communities of color and the economy overall. This is from the National Fair Housing Alliance. So what you're trying to do is critical to the basic values of being an American, that American dream, that home ownership, and trying to make sure that we've got just a small part from what I'm hearing, a small part where you have someone who will make sure that there is fiscal stability and economic opportunity for someone to own the home, but not whose first and only motivation is how much money can I make? Like these articles we've read recently where these private equity firms, they don't care about the individual. None of that is considered. When I think about myself, my parents, if it wasn't for someone who wanted to go out of the way to make sure that they were able to buy a home in the first place, they would have never had one. But someone went out of their way to try to make sure that the principle wasn't money and that's it, but money and people, making sure that they had the ability to stay in their home. That's what these nonprofits will do. They will go out of their way to give them the aid that they need to have and not be there just for the greed of making an extra dollar. So I compliment you with reference to this program. You got to try to figure it out. You're starting small. But if you see success, I think I heard Mr. Capriano say, if you see success, do it. And do it despite those who would criticize you. Do it because it's the right thing to do.